Like many western towns, such as those in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Honolulu, Reno once had a thriving Chinatown located here on 1st and Lake Street. Today there are no traces of the Chinatown that once existed. The Mormons originally hired 50 Chinese workers in Nevada around 1855 to dig irrigation ditches, following the discovery of the Comstock lode. The Chinese began to migrate to the Washoe County area. In 1859, a law was passed that forbade the Chinese from owning mining claims or working in underground mines in the Gold Hill district. In order to support themselves, they started many businesses such as laundromats, gardens, restaurants, gambling houses, brothels, and opium dens. Many Chinese worked in the woodcutting industry, which supported the building of roads and mining. The Chinese made up only 7% of the population. However, in the 1870s and 80s, there was a rise in anti-Chinese groups known as the anti-Kool clubs. This included groups such as the Working Man's Party and the 601 Vigilance Committee, which still exists today in Virginia City, Nevada. The Chinese were targeted because of their physical appearance, beliefs, culture, and especially their prevalence as an economic threat and the belief that they were stealing the white man's jobs. Further tensions arose over opium dens, which served the larger population in buying, selling, and smoking opium. Opium was a big part of the Chinese culture and most likely introduced to China and East Asia in the 6th or 7th century through the Silk Road. In the 1870s, there was a passage of anti-opium ordinances to discourage drug use. Newspapers in Reno suggest that most residences were not concerned with the Chinese opium usage, but if caught by the law, they would be fined or jailed. Furthermore, most of the local anti-opium ordinances were passed as a result of the white users frequenting the dens. Anti-Kool feelings rose again after a San Francisco firm, Lung Chung and Company, underbid the Steamboat Spring Canals Company contract to build a 33-mile steamboat ditch irrigation canal from the Truckee to Reno in May of 1878. Shortly after the night of August 3, 1878, fires consumed the Chinatown after the Working Man's Party had held a meeting in the same evening to discuss and find a resolution for the Chinese question. Due to their frustration with the employment of Chinese laborers, the fire was reported as an accident after the Working Man's Party denied all arson allegations. The party continued to call for the removal of Chinese residents within 48 hours. City officials relocated the Chinese to 1st and Lake Street, fearing forced removal would cause bloodshed. Between 1880 and 1890, there was a boycott of Chinese workers and businesses, which caused Washoe County's Chinese population to drop by more than 50%. In 1886, Truckee successfully boycotted and expelled the Chinese, which generated renewed efforts to do the same in Reno. In Honolulu and San Francisco's Chinatowns, there were reports of bubonic plague, and many linked the disease and Chinese together. The Reno Board of Health was on high alert for signs of the disease. During the same time, city officials and residents wanted to attract more long-term investments, but believed that the city needed to rid itself of its depravities. This included Chinatown. Dr. James L. Robinson of the Reno Board of Health described Chinatown as a disease breeding place. And in November of 1908, the Washoe County Grand Jury ordered Chinatown to be torn down and burned. This event left 150 Chinatown residents homeless and in the cold winter. After the demolition of Chinatown, many of the newly homeless moved to San Francisco, Sparks, and some back to China. Only a few highly frequented brothels such as the Joss House, a place of worship, survived the demolition. Eventually, in the 1950s, some local Chinese opened casinos, such as the New China Club that catered to Asians and African Americans. By the 20th century, the discriminatory laws passed in the 1870s and the hardships the Chinese braved while helping to settle the state of Nevada were long forgotten.